life.
When I sing to the river,
66, the flow black.
The river sings back to me.
Find the fire.
I can hear the voices calling.
Take things into your own hands to take
From the time when time began. I can feel its cooling water, turning rocks to grains of sand. Long ago spirits are asking, what of my story do you know? Long ago
If I draw water from the well of woman, will their stories serve my soul as I travel down this uncertain journey? Will the water drawn from the woman's well hold the ancient strings of which legends tell? Strength, strength we've always needed.
If I draw water from the well of woman,
Well of woman,
join my life
life to my living now. Isis, St. Joan, and Sojourner.
when we meet to drink. What will be the link? Perhaps philosophy or distant stars or nights.
Nights alone and lonely.
I must be where my ancestors wanted me to be, both feet planted, floating on souls unseen. I too can see their face and my face. A place where the magic of nature is alive and asleep during a low tide. Sometimes you can even see the sky look so real that you might fall, with the hopes that the clouds catch me with their warm, unbleached, fluffy, cotton-picked and pricked, bleeding hands, only to find you're submerged in the unsalty, gasping beauty coming up for air, wiping her eyes, wiping her chin, rubbing it into her skin, subconsciously washing away her sins. I am connected. Without a question, I am drifting in Oshun's broken waters that birthed the chance for freedom for my people. Reminding me you can steal my body, but not my soul, for I am immortal. Reminding me not even the hounds with the strongest nose can sniff me out when I am here, protected and covered by ancestral realm. The color of the aura is amber. River is true freedom. Lukewarm, squishy, metatarsal, slightly sinking footing, grounded. Gatherings by creatures of the night and day. Filtered tears of the oceans brought me. Naked, purple, blue, black, brown bodies taught me. True meanings of full moons. Turning, twisting, rolling, causing waters to rise from this very river, connecting me from the North Atlantic all the way to the borders of North and West Africa, but limits of the ocean are arbitrary, as there is only one global ocean. Finding pools of black on every continent. River to ocean, ocean to river. reminding me how I got here, but also how I escaped, waiting. I must be where my ancestors wanted me to be, to deliver a message. That the true freedom is in the water, and the water is inside all of us waiting, for only God troubles what's to be overcome. Thank you. My name is Shaffany Terrell. I like to just go by Shaffany Piaget when it comes to doing my art. That's kind of new to me, but I'm glad I'm going in that direction as an artist when it comes to my name. I sing, dance, and act. My poem that I recited was called Black Death. That was from a performance that I did in the Decameron at Waterfire Center with Wilbury Theater in the summertime. And it was a piece that was the duration of 24 minutes long. How I got the inspiration to do, just literally to make that type of work was because it was about the bubonic plague and during the Italian Renaissance. And, I was interested to kind of understand where, my people, Black people played a role in that, and then I learned about the Black Moorish Empire and, I really dove in deep. And I actually performed that poem literally on a boat going down a river, literally. And it was one of the most epic experiences I ever felt. Next projects, I'm looking forward to the future. I'm not really sure right now. I'm just in a place where I'm kind of creating. I'm really interested in Afrofuturism. I've been seeing a lot of Afrofuturistic type of things, and Afrofuturism is not a new thing, especially if you're familiar with Sun Ra or Erykah Badu or Earth, Wind and Fire or any of I'm pretty sure the list goes on, so forgive me. But I'm really interested in kind of exploring this kind of Afrofuturism space world. And it could also be, fictional because I'm creating it and just having just creating that type of work, and presenting it in whatever type of space it is, because I love my work that I do really put the effort in to do. And yeah. The greatest woman that has had the most impact in my life is without a doubt my mother. Without her, I know I wouldn't be where I am today. She's my biggest support system. She is a Black woman, and she raised me to be very proud of where I came from and who I am as a woman, and certain things that I had to endure or have to endure. I feel like as a mother, she prepared me, a lot for certain things that I've had to endure and still endure sometimes, unfortunately, but that's life. When I become a mother, I aspire to be just as good or better. She is one of my biggest influences, in life. I love my mom. Yeah.
I bathed in the waters of the Nile, crossed the Sahara Desert on foot. I stood knee-deep in the snows of the Alps, survived the dark and bloody Middle Passage. I kissed the breezes above Kilimanjaro, danced free in the grasses of the Congo. My blood nurtured the sterile earth of the Americas. And on the hallowed ancestral ground of Alabama's red clay, I planted my feet and gave birth to 2 sons who took breath and from it seeded a world where they and their children no longer have to fight for freedom, justice, and equality, but are free and master of their own destinies. They too have survived the dark and bloody Middle Passage and dance free. This is the majestic power of ancestors and legacy.
This is Reza's work. Something about erasure. I rarely acquiesce to my erasure. That's just something about me. I will not agree, kowtow, submit, assist, pretend, betray, silence, hide, neglect, undermine, postpone, deny, condone, or pacify me, or for you, or any of it. That's just something about me. I rarely acquiesce to my erasure. Be sweet. Her bathroom was pink, as though her intentions were to communicate the power of women and the presence of a goddess. And she was one. The proof was in the kindness in her eyes, the ease with which she smiled, the speed she made friends, her daily motto, be sweet. And in the scores of faces and voices who spoke, sang, and shared their praises the day the heavens opened up to invite her in. We share her flame. It was never extinguished.
Alexander, Charlemagne, and Shaka, men who took everything they desired. My heroes met to feast and converse of war and conquered lands on a full half moon. In my room, the serving girl's room. I set the table, served them bread, meat, and wine. Genghis Khan, Hannibal, and Caesar. Men from history and glory, my heroes boasted loud and wild, and they never had to lie on a full half moon. In my room, the serving girl's room. At times my heroes grew quiet, and they'd say why they chose me. I loved them for the dangers they passed. They loved me that I pitied them. In my innocent eyes, each saw simple things.
Like song to tell, a home to live, and a woman to lay with when you sleep.
Then they toast me and they warn me, never drink of their wine.
It's a poison wine called power. It can drive you to madness for pain. It can change you, put you in danger. The wine we drink is power.
Many lust for it, live for it, die for it.
That's for it, live for it, die for it. The wine we
never tasted their wine. But I'm waiting my time when all my heroes will make a place for me on a full half moon in some innocent girl's room. The serving girl's room.
My auntie. My auntie was the best. She was so many things, but two of her most outstanding qualities were her calm and consistency. The embodiment of chill. She was exciting, but not excitable. Caring, but never overbearing. Her voice was level, her laugh contagious, her smile endearing. She was balanced. She was grace. Auntie Daisy was a native New Yorker, smart, quick, hip. She sealed every outfit with a butterfly pin. As cool as my auntie was to me, I shared her with my family. As it turns out, my Auntie Daisy was my great aunt, my mom's aunt. Growing up, my mom would talk about how vital my auntie was to her when she was growing up. Everyone loved Auntie Daisy. Her reviews were 5 out of 5 would return to this auntie. But truly, she was amazing. Auntie was so subtle, so smooth, and so cool. And if you knew her, you could catch her hints, her glances, her smiles. She was always right on time. It was only recently that I learned about some of the challenges my auntie faced. She saw a lot. I can only imagine how many times there must have been when it was difficult for my auntie to smile. But she always did. Sometimes I question how she always maintained. But her actions were the answer. My auntie wasn't a performer, but her show always went on. So, auntie, when the student loans hit different, when uncertainty creeps in, and it all gets to feel too heavy, I know what to do. I'll be smart, I'll watch, and I'll move. With style, I'll play it cool, just like you.
You can introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Kirsten, and I act and I also write. Wrote this piece called My Auntie, which is about my Auntie Daisy. She's my great aunt, and she was always so much fun to be around. Growing up, I used to love going to visit her. She lived in New York, so that was always really exciting, and I just miss her so much and everything about her. So I thought of her when thinking of the title of the show, this woman's work, and I wanted to honor her. She passed a few years ago, but my family is currently reading some books that my auntie wrote. She hopes to have them published, or she wanted to have them published, so we've been meeting via Zoom to read her works. and it's been really great to learn more about her and more about her childhood and more about our family, really, because that's what she's writing about in the book. So that really inspired me to think more about my auntie and what she went through when she was growing up. A lot of stories that I didn't know about, and also really, really helped me to understand how much more amazing my auntie was and her ability to be so calm and be so chill and warm and inviting despite all the adversity and challenges that she faced growing up. So I admire her even more for that. And I did bring some pictures of my aunt along. She was a beautiful, beautiful, stylish woman. She always managed to look fantastic. She had a beautiful smile, and I never saw her in a bad mood. So that's my Auntie Daisy. Yes, so in the future, I am going to be doing some more writing, and I'm hoping to do some more writing with comedy as a focus. So my Auntie Daisy, of course, was one of them, but my mother was a very strong influence and is a very strong influence in my life. She's inspired a lot of the things that I do, and I really admire her grace, and, you know, she's super funny, and I can always go to her. She's my best friend. So my mom is a huge, huge influence in my life, very important woman in my life.
There is a funny thing about surfing the ocean of languages. I often find myself caught in a wave, two tongues pushing and pulling, my body learning to observe the ripping wave and trusting my body onto it. Once in a while, I catch a particular wave and find myself plunged underwater at the mercy of the laws dictated by the ocean. The one that splits my two homes. In Korean, I kept saying, let's go over to my place, my house, 내 집. Only after a few times, my friend one day corrects me so casually while still playing with her son. In Korean culture, you're supposed to say our house, our place. Funny, right? I sit there watching her son playing with little cars and ask, but I live alone. I always say my car, my phone. I live alone, so isn't it my house? I am the sole body that occupies the space. I wake up alone in the morning, eat breakfast alone. I cherish the peace, the silence, the stillness. It's my own space that I created, belonging to no one else. She nods, and with her eyes still glued to her little one, she gently says, it's still our. Yulie, I don't know why. It applies to spaces and places and moms and family, but nothing else, I think. What is mine is also yours. They belong to us. I look at her son push and pull his little car around. I feel the ocean slowly swallow me whole again. I learn. By nature, home always allows you to claim it and reminds you you belong. My mother, who no longer cries, got teary-eyed one afternoon. I simply asked if I could visit her house this summer. She said the same thing. Stop saying Mom's house. It's our house. It belongs to you as much as it belongs to me. You do not have to ask to be here. My mother tongue insists I stay, insists I belong, even when I grew out and chose to leave. Oceans away, home, through gentle words of mothers, reminds, insists that I can claim. I must hold. I must protect what is ours. A splendid way of calling a place mine, a Korean way of claiming our place, our home. Even to a stranger we say, come to our home. It belongs to you as much as it belongs to me. When I ask you into my home, you belong already. Hi, I'm Yulie. I am a middle school English teacher, and I also write poetry when I can. And I'm very excited to read a piece tonight and to get to do this interview. So I created this piece after having two conversations, separate conversations, with two very important women in my life. Both conversations had to do with how the Korean word uri, which is we or our, is used. And more specifically, it was about how I was misusing that word. And so that inspired me to find the connection between the two languages, and to see what made that difference, or what made the difference in nuance, I guess. And I thought that was fascinating. I wanted to write about it, and it connected to this idea of home and belonging, and my two identities and two homes that I have to always reconciliate. So that was part of the journey, yeah. Realized recently that a lot of my writing has to do with the reconciliation between my two sort of homes, two identities, and a lot of it's about belonging, and I want to discover what's next. I want to write about universal truths that may not always narrate my own personal experiences, but that tells a story. So I realized recently that I do a lot of writing about like things that I've personally experienced. I kind of want to experiment outside of that box and see if I can sort of grow as a writer. And I also have come to terms with this sorrowful tone in my writing and this sort of sadness that I sometimes recognize. It's funny because often my students will ask me, like, Yulie, why are poems, or why is poetry always so sad, or why is it always so deep, or why is it always so heavy? And I'd always say something like, well, because poetry comes from meaningful experiences, and meaningful experiences are sometimes often heavy. But then I find myself as a writer struggling with that, like struggling with this heaviness of the writing that I'm doing about my own writing. So I'm trying to see if I can like break out of that, but I'm not sure. Whatever I'm writing next, I want to see if I can do something new or just something different, something cool. I can't go without saying my mom. She is one of the biggest influences in my life. She is an independent woman who knows what she wants, has sacrificed a lot to get what she wants. And I grew up watching her and watching her accomplish things, so that has definitely been an influence. But I also have to like recognize that she doesn't exist in a void. Like, she comes from a line of independent women. So I have both of my grandmothers were independent working women who, at the time when it wasn't like a popular thing to do, right? Go out and work and do things and follow dreams, right? Like, so she comes from that, and I saw her doing something similar, and I think that impacts not just my writing, but like my life in general, how I dream of things, how I want things, how I accomplish things. So they're definitely a part of my life.
Daybreak isn't broken. If it's breaking, you should fix it. If it's broken, you should have fixed it. I am not broken. I can be fixed. Don't believe me? Look at the sun. Every morning the day breaks, but we never say it's broken. If it's breaking, you should fix it. I am not broken. I am the sun. Thank you.
your crown up high and don't let it fall. The winds, the storms, you can conquer it all. Look at all you've been through. Through it all, you've made it. And I'm so proud of you. Wipe the tears from your eyes, 'cause everything will be alright. 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 This is for the ones who keep on fighting, for the ones who feel like giving up, for the ones who do not feel like they can never catch a break. This is for the ones who keep on fighting, for the ones who feel like giving up, for the ones who do not feel like they can never catch a break. Everything will be alright. Everything will be alright. Everything will be alright. Everything will be alright. Will be
I chose a instrumental from YouTube, a piano instrumental, and the song that I wrote to it is called Be Alright. And the inspiration behind it is really my mother. I wrote the song for her, and so that's where the lyrics come from, because I've seen just how she struggles every day and every day and night, and it's always inspired me to write something for her, because I've always been inspired by her strength and just her will to keep going on and her amount of hope that she has, even though she's been through so much. So that's really what inspired me to write the song for her. I look forward to my EP. I'm hoping for it to drop in December. So I'm really looking forward for that, because I feel like that's just another opportunity for me to introduce myself to my audience again. I actually released a single last June, but a full project I haven't released in like maybe 3 years now. And that was when I was 18. So I feel like I'm in a different space in my life. I'm still young, of course, but I definitely went through a lot more experiences and like switching teams, all of that struggles. So I feel like I have a lot more to say. And it's just another opportunity to share more about myself and to really dive deep into the music. I feel like this is a time where I'm connecting more deeper to music. So I'm happy to share that with the people. I would say my mom, definitely. Just like watching her growing up I feel like she taught me to always keep going and to always have faith in God and to always have hope. Even though things may not look like it's gonna go well, just to always have hope that it will go well. And that's what it will be at the end of the day. So she's definitely my biggest inspiration, and among others, but she's definitely like the biggest one for me. So.
Hurt songs. Black girl, you don't shine. You got knots on your head like mustardines. If you're yellow, you're mellow. If you're brown, stick around. But if you're black, get back. If you're black, get back. Being black and little, then black and girl, being a little black girl made light-skinned boys so far out, forbidden fruit. And it was always like asking for the damned rainbow. They, with their beautiful yellow skin and Quo Vadis haircuts, made me black girl so ashamed. A black vulture intruded on their sunshine yellow melanis. Yellow boys learned early, too, that black girls wishing for privileged valentines were to be hurt, pitied, used, disdained. And I learned early to see me through the eyes of little yellow boys. And once I laughed as a black butterfly danced against my window pane. Only I knew the hurt.
I've been waiting to do the speech for a long time. I need recognition for what I've done in this movement of freedom and liberation for blacks across America. Now, when you think of Coretta, what do you think? What do you see? Come on now, say it with me. Mrs. Martin Luther King, baby. That was cute in 1964, but it is 1968 and he is gone. My identity never revolved around him before marriage, yet it is the only way people remember me after his death. He didn't get that Dr. King image by himself. I helped him write his speeches. I stayed up with him till 5 a.m. in the morning. I ironed his shirts, shorts, ties. I raised his children. I made sure he got on the right planes at the right time. I marched with him. I fought with him. Almost died for him. And now I buried him. Where is my honorary doctorate? Where is my school? Where is my statue? Did you know that I wanted to be a singer? Oh no, I grew up playing the piano in church. My mama had me praising the Lord every day and every night. I could never be no singer because singers needed rest. I was too busy marching with Martin to get my rest. I grew up my career in life just to be known as Martin Luther King's wife. My name is Coretta Scott King. All y'all Negroes got me tight. You won't say my name, won't say her name, won't say their name for what, huh? Now what you got against me? Oh, don't you go on saying, Coretta, baby, have some hope. Hope ain't real. If there was, I for damn sure ain't found her. Now the hope that I was seeking slapped me in the face with the hand of white reality. The only way I found hope was in my dreams. My dreams of making America a place where trees and rope ain't a trigger for people like me. Where the police don't chase us down no damn streets. Where black and brown people can experience joy in the morning and in the evening. I sure hope ain't real. I hope I never find hope. Let me tell you something, child. Get up, get out. Get up, get out. Get up, get out, get in my world. Head, mind, body, soul, spirit, heart. Prepare for pain, rain, and shame. No emotions, no love, no happiness, no joy. Just fear of existing, living, breathing, eating, shopping, sleeping, driving, worshiping, living my world. Let me take you on a trip down Black Death Lane. It's a long road that has never changed. Looks similar to the track of the transatlantic slave trade. If you look to the left, you can see my grandmother's untimely grave. To the right, you'll see trees wounded from ropes who have ties with souls, the city of the bones. Now look behind. You're being chased. Pick up, pick up, pick up your pace. Pick up, pick up, pick up your pace. You don't want what is ahead, an empty grave with a tombstone with your name. Pick up your pace. First, it was Medgar, then Malcolm, then my Martin. Who will be next? Who will be next? Will it be you or will it be me? Who will be next? Who will be next? Who will be next? If it is me, will you remember me? Me, me, me. Remember me. Coretta Scott King.
Hello, my name is Angelique Dina. I also go by Angel. I am a local storyteller, a Black and Indigenous femme storyteller in Rhode Island. And I use storytelling as my way to create and to show the Black experience and history of the African diaspora. The inspiration behind the piece, it came to me a few years ago, but not a few, 2017, so it's not a few years ago. But I had the idea to write a play about the wives of Medgar Evers, Martin Luther King, and Malcolm X, but I never had written a play then. I didn't know where to start, so I kind of held off on that, and I got bits and pieces of the monologue the past few years, but I never had anything concrete. And then last fall, fall 2020, I did a semester away program at a theater in Connecticut, and I wrote this piece while I was there. And I wrote it in a way where it's now a musical. So we went from a play to a musical. So that's kind of how I got this piece together. And what really inspired me was to see throughout history, and especially now, so this is not historical, this is past, present, and what could unfortunately be the future, Black women and Black femmes being erased from history. And I wanted to show what is always known as the behind the scenes to the Black leaders, Black male leaders that we have in our society. So my future projects, I would love to create this musical. So I'm working on expanding that and getting an more musical elements. I'm not a composer, but I'm hoping to work with more people soon. I'm working on a sequel to my play Ashe. I've created a cycle play, just like August Wilson, love him. And speaking of August Wilson, was a part of my my play cycle. I'm working on expanding my full-length play titled On Esther's House, and it's a play about all the women from August Wilson pieces, and Aunt Esther and the men have gone missing. They are in the city of the bones, and the women, they want to save Aunt Esther, but if they save Aunt Esther, they have to save the rest of the men. So then it goes up into what do we want, who do we save, and who's more valuable than in the situation. So those are some of my future projects, but I'm also graduating this fall, so I'm also looking forward to that. Well, obviously my mom, and everyone that came before her and the rest of my family. I think of everything that I do, it's to give back to my ancestors and to the community. It's deeply enrooted in my past. Being one of the original storytellers, having African descent and indigenous descent, all part of my lineage and my blood. Everything I do is for my ancestors. So all of my femme ancestors, they inspire me to be their wildest dream, and I truly hope I am honoring them every day and everything I create.
The woman is blue. The woman is blue, but she is not sad. The sounds of the children remind her of the joys of normalcy, while the sirens remind her of the songs of her past, which she shares with the artists and hermanos. The woman is blue, but she is not sad. She is beautiful, and she is home. I'm yellow. I don't talk about the blues. Instead, I stay suspended in the yellows with you. Smiles, efforts, and dances danced for you. If the music stops, you might leave too. No, I don't talk about the blues with you. I'm yellow.
Liberia, oh, oh, Liberia, oh, oh, my home, sweet home, my home, sweet home. Liberia, oh, oh, Liberia, oh, oh, my home, sweet home, my home, sweet home. I have become accustomed to calling myself a Liberian. Liberian, but I often wonder what it means to be Liberian. The question sounds so strange, but reveals a deep root of misunderstanding. Amongst my people, I am seen as American, American, so they assign labels onto me to confirm their beliefs that I wholeheartedly oppose. But my opposition is not welcomed. What I see when I look in the mirror, what my origin and DNA reveals, is overshadowed by labels that rob me of my identity. So I accept what they reject, and that rejection becomes my victory. Victory engulfing a reality that is a reflection of me as much as it is a reflection of them. Liberia, oh, oh, Liberia, oh, oh, my home, sweet home, my home, sweet home. Liberia, oh, oh, Liberia, oh, oh, my home, sweet home, my home, sweet home. When will we stop? Stop feeding on lies that absorbs the truth innate to our being? When will we start challenging our mind to be free from arrestment? When will we detach ourselves from fear and limitations? The metamorphosis of an arrested mind, seeking a dream overlooked by many, adapting a pattern of behavior ingrained in the system that shamed our blackness, the system that silenced our voice, the system that ignored our presence, the system that stole our creativity. Left defenseless and unprotected, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness becomes the reality. Eager to learn and experience what others praised, the reconstruction of self becomes the masterpiece of their clay. Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Kathy Young. I go by the name InnateButterfly when I do perform my spoken word pieces. I'm currently aspiring to expand my knowledge when it comes to spoken word, tapping more into my creativity because I love to write, and that's my passion. So one of the piece that I did was named Liberia. I wrote that piece because I immigrated into this country when I was 10 years old. And I haven't been back home since then. My experiences kind of fluctuate, kind of like a roller coaster when it comes to finding my identity, and really having to deal with a lot of judgments in assimilating into the American culture and what that means as an African-American woman, specifically an ethnic Liberian woman, and the struggle of trying to balance being me truly as a person and also assimilated into the American culture, but also appeasing from a cultural standpoint what that standard is. So it's like a double consciousness in a sense. So because I love writing, I really am trying to establish a blog. And from a professional standpoint, I am a clinical social worker. So what would separate my blog from the many blogs out there is really giving some insight when it comes to my role as a parent, and how some of the challenges that I encounter, how that aligns to clinical things that can inspire people. So you kind of get the background knowledge without having to pay the fee. Unfortunately, I haven't had a strong foundation when it comes to close relationship with women in general. Like I stated before, I immigrated into this country when I was 10. My parents or my dad remarried, and me and my stepmother didn't really formulate a strong relationship, and my biological mother is in Africa currently. So much of life transitions I had to experience on my own. Again, I think not having a strong relationship with my stepmother really kind of did me, it was a disadvantage in a sense because I went through a lot of life challenges and circumstances on my own. But as an adult, I was able to captivate a strong relationship between two of my closest friends in high school. And I think that when I think about that relationship, that really inspired me, like the complete honesty and openness to be completely vulnerable, and be able to have people who are genuinely rooting for you. Not to say that the other women in my life weren't rooting for me, but I just feel like that relationship really helped me see things differently and inspire me in a way that really pushed me to my full potential.
What are we going to talk about tomorrow?
Life and living, and the difference between life and living. That's what we'll talk about tomorrow.
I heard the story of my conception, gestation, and delivery so many times, I could tell it as if I actually witnessed every second of it.
It was terrible and wonderful. I knew the moment it happened. Right in the middle of, oh, I said, oh my God, I'm pregnant. And it's going to be
a girl.
Now, back in the day, I had a great body. So in the beginning, all I could think about was, what is this intruder going to do to my figure? To get myself mentally ready, I'd walk around with this little beach ball under my dress.
She even took it with her when she went clothes shopping, determined to be the most fashionable fat lady in the city.
I was, too. I wasn't going to depend on that glow thing to carry me through.
That glow thing.
A month into the 9 months, my hormones were going crazy, but not crazy enough for me to realize that my young, exciting, handsome husband was not really father material. He was good boyfriend material, but that was all. We got married in the heat of passion. So at first, I didn't notice when he wasn't very ambitious, or how much he liked vodka and Humboldt County Bud.
But he was happy about the baby. He was happy about me.
By month 3, I knew he was history.
He freaked out when her water broke.
When it broke, I knew how Noah felt.
Do you think this rain will ever stop?
But the best and the worst was yet to come. That little beach ball was a fake out. I should have used a basketball. No, 2 basketballs. 27 hours of gushing water and screaming and blood and more screaming.
And then a miracle, a beautiful, perfect miracle, whose father was about to be dismissed.
I didn't have the strength to raise a baby and a man. I had just enough resources for myself and you.
For the first 16 years of my life, I was the center of the universe.
But after 16 years, it was time to fill up some of my needs.
So she got a boyfriend.
No, I got a man friend.
Who was married.
Who had time and money to share. I didn't have enough room in my life for a full-time daughter and a full-time man.
At 17, I got a boyfriend. And pregnant.
I got pregnant too.
My boyfriend was happy.
My man friend wasn't. He'd raised his child and so had I. We didn't want what we had to die.
He was ready to quit school and get a job. He wanted to cash in all the money his parents had saved for college.
The young can afford to be foolish.
My boyfriend loves me.
My man friend loves me too. But neither one of us wants the change a baby can make. Neither one of you are ready for the change a baby can make. The best parts of life are ahead for all of us.
You and your married man.
You and your boy who thinks he can.
He's a married man!
Who's paying for you and me to have the best of care.
So what are we going to talk about tomorrow?
I won't know until it gets here.
What if I never get pregnant again?
What if you do?
Then I'll know the water and blood and screams followed by a miracle. A beautiful, perfect miracle. I'm here because you decided not to come here.
I took a road that could have been wrong.
So what are we going to talk about tomorrow?
How about where you're going to college?
What are we going to talk about tomorrow?
How hard it is to make hard decisions.
What are we going to talk about tomorrow?
Water and blood and screams and miracles.
Water and blood and screams and miracles.
Sure. I'm Nina Giselle, and I've been in Providence for 2 years now. I found Mixed Magic about 1.5 years ago, and I've kind of been performing with them on and off ever since. It's been fun, yeah, so I'm excited to film today. Sure. I think, for me, I think about, the relationship between the mother and the daughter and how there's just things that the daughter is not ready to understand. And so it's really easy for her to vilify her mother. And I can't say that I've never done that at 16. So, it wasn't hard to draw inspiration for the character. Yes, this is what I thought a 16-year-old might wear, Foxy Grandpa hat included. I don't know anything about Gen Z. So on Thursday night, I'm gonna be in a talent show, and the theme is historical realness. So I'm doing a Nina Simone number. I'm singing her song Mississippi Goddamn. And I have a friend who is making me a dress custom that looks like one of Nina Simone's dresses. And my roommate and her band have offered to play in the background. And I'm really excited to do it. Nina Simone and I are exactly 62 and a half years apart. She's February 21st, I'm August 21st. And I just feel really, really connected to her. You know, she was famous, but she had mental health issues and she was queer. So like, I'm all of those things, well, except for famous. And I really enjoy getting to get connected with her. I think that would absolutely be Donna Maselli and Ellen Grinder. The Donna Maselli Dance Center ran for 48 years, and that's where I did my training from age 3 to age 18. And Donna Maselli is 5'1", with these little hands, and this hair that's intentionally dyed white and then black, and this big booming voice, and a cane that will get you if your foot is not pointed on the right count. And growing up in that environment, oh my God, you know, it really made me love and appreciate the arts. And like, she could yell. Oh, could she yell? And she was terrifying at 5'1". But I didn't care. You know, I wanted her to yell at me because I knew that meant that she cared about me. I knew that she was yelling at me with love, and I knew that if I worked hard enough, one day I wouldn't get yelled at because I'd do it right. And just even if it was the smallest step that I worked on for months and I did it right, it meant the world. And Donna she cared about us so much, and she taught us about all the important people in dance, you know, Alvin Ailey, Gus Giordano, Judith Jamison, and she really made me develop a passion, and I wouldn't be who I am without her. And Ellen Grinder also worked for the studio, and Ellen was like my other mom. I mean, I spent weekends at her house as a senior, and she just whipped my butt into shape, you know? I mean, I was a sassy teenager. I thought I was queen of the world. And she reminded me how important it is to be humble in this business and to have humility, and how important it is to work hard for what you want, you know? I'm a dancer, but I'm not a size 2. And that will always be. But I'm never gonna let it stop me from continuing to dance and continuing to work hard for what I want.
I am saltwater. Most people I know learn to swim in the comforts of chlorine, clearness, and cleaning materials somewhere close by, like your ability to move from paddle to crawl, sink to swim, life vest to breasts and butterflies. No, not you. You were surrounded by sun rays, sometimes called dangerous, sand, sometimes rocky, sometimes smooth, and waters that were rough like your father's face when he kissed you goodnight, and audibly rhythmic like the way your mother rolled your nickname through her tongue, teeth, and lips. It was chlorine that comforted and interrupted them when they thought their bodies would fall under. For you, it was the salt, and the way the dark waters sometimes masked the monotony under the surface that still embraced your feet as the Atlantic Ocean reminded you of your home and past, while the Caribbean Sea that adopted you as more than a daughter of the dust instead communicated their visions of you as the new mother meant to share her wisdom and love and spirit. Amen. Most people I know learn to swim in the comforts of chlorine, clearness, and cleaning materials somewhere close by, like your ability to move from paddle to crawl, sink to swim, life vest to breasts and butterflies. No, not you. For you it was the salt.
Yeah, I'm Reza Clifton. I self-identify, but also I do have the credentials to back some of this up as a writer, artist, educator, and cultural savant. Yeah, I wrote each of the pieces different times
I have been trying to like steadily participate in National Poetry Month every April. So definitely several of those pieces were written during National Poetry Month. I love the idea of and the theme of this woman's work. And I love that about the group of performers tonight, but also like in terms of the identity of mixed magic theater is so very intergenerational. And I was trying to kind of like think about that because every time I thought about what pieces or where do I want to go, I was like intergenerational. So then I was like, well, what pieces do I have that may reflect some sort of movement, age-wise, girls to women, or what pieces do I have that could speak to girls and women of a different age? I have a piece that's a tribute to my own grandmother, like, so that's got to go in there. And then thinking about I Am Saltwater, which is really I wrote the piece, and it's kind of funny because it's a lot of you language, but it's me. I learned how to swim as a kid going to the beach a lot. Like, definitely had pool experiences, but the beach here in Rhode Island, but in South Carolina, it was so essential to my upbringing. So, that piece is kind of like when I was a little kid. And thinking about the woman in blue and that piece, I wrote that piece sort of in response to and in collaboration with a visual artist. And in writing that one, it's sort of like the voice of an older, more mature woman. And so it just started coming to me like, whoa, like you have these intergenerational pieces or these pieces that together speak intergenerationally. So, thanks for the question, because it's kind of an exciting time for me because I'm solidifying like work that I've been doing towards getting certified as an educator. And that process for me represents more and more opportunities for me to explore my poetry, my short stories, and like even writing plays, like just the creative writing voice inside that like had to be put on pause. One thing that I've been working on is this trilogy of science fiction pieces, and the first one is done. The second one I'm almost done with, but I decided to write it through poetry. So the story is written in poems. I'm like, what am I, Shakespeare? Like, no, but like, I guess, because that's what I'm doing. So like that feels very exciting to be working on a trilogy, first of all, science fiction, second of all, and to be so comfortable with the process of creating that I could make some random decision, like to do one of them, write one of the stories through poetry instead of like a traditional way. So that is something I've been working on. You know, that's a really tough question, I think, because like I come from a family of like really inspirational women. So my mom is pretty known in the community as Rhode Island's first Black woman district court judge and Superior Court judge, and then First Circuit Court of Appeals judge. And so, like, you know, without a doubt, like, she's been a huge inspiration. I admire my mom for all of the reasons that like the community of Rhode Island and the state of Rhode Island admires her, but I also admire her for like her love and her like sweetness and like her kind of traditional mommy stuff too that people don't have that access to. My grandmother, who I wrote the Be Sweet poem about, was definitely an inspiration. She was a stylish woman and she was a teacher and was super sweet. She taught me how to write cursive growing up, and was part of like playing school and stuff like that growing up. And I feel very proud to be following in her footsteps.
I worried about Martin all the time. I was proud too, but worried all the time.
That's a black woman's lot when it comes to our men. Worried all the time.
They're a little late getting home. You worries.
You hear voices and cars in the night, and you worries.
They grow up good looking and smart. You worries.
They strong, and you worry.
They try to protect you, and you worry.
Almost make you not want to love them so much, if you ever.
If I draw water from the well of woman, will their stories serve my soul as I travel down this uncertain journey? Will the water drawn from the woman's well hold the ancient strings of which legends tell? Strength,
Strength we've always needed.
If I draw water from the well of woman, join my life to my living now. Isis, St. Joan, and Sojourner. When we meet to drink, what will be the link? Perhaps philosophy, or distant stars, or nights alone and lonely. I look at dying and birth. I wonder how much is the worth of the comfort and cradle of my breast and hips, or the passionate kisses that come from my lips. Well of woman. If I draw water from the well of woman, will my voice be as one with Venus in Xander, Martha and Mary? Don't you win? The songs we sing are the ones passed down, the same songs my mother sang. Just draw water from the well of woman. Just draw water from the well of woman. Let down your bucket and pull the rope. The water is cold, but will warm your soul. Let down your bucket and pull the rope. The water is cold, but will warm your soul. Just draw water from the well of woman. Just draw water from the well of woman. Strange for me, it's only now I see. All right. What I almost lost all my
What inspired me to do the piece that we're doing? Well, the scene that we're doing is from Fate Comes Knocking, which we just performed and videotaped. And this particular scene is about Black women worrying about their Black men. It's like, no matter how fantastic your man is, how smart your child is, in the world then and even today, if they're good, they're smart, they're strong, you have to worry about what's gonna happen to them in society. And it's every man, Black man, who has a son usually ends up having what they call the talk about how to survive if you are confronted with the police. First rule of survival, don't die. Keep small, don't die. And that's part of what is behind what we're talking about in this scene when we talk about our men. We worry about them all the time. Every time they walk out the door, we wonder if they're gonna come back. Well, the role of a percussionist is to kind of like enhance and support whatever else is going on. So really, it depends on the piece. So for this piece, it's about a groove, it's about a feeling, it's about helping folks with keeping time, but it's also about filling in space but leaving space. And that's the exciting thing I think about doing this kind of work is, it really is about intuition and feel and community. And a part of it is knowing and trusting your own intuition, and trusting that you're going to figure it out as you go. So sometimes things are more set. With this, there's a reference that I've heard, and so what I'm doing is I'm taking that reference, I'm taking the essential sort of piece of the rhythm and the cadence to make sure that like the singers and the song are supported, the structure makes sense, and then I'm kind of making it my own a little bit, So I'm putting a little collie spin on it, but you do what you do, and you trust yourself and your talent to make it happen.
Well, because I've been a mixed magician since 2008, and I've done a lot of things as far as plays and the gospel, and I just love being part of the mixed magic family. I just feel that they're all inspiration to me. It continuously keeps the ball rolling and wants you to strive for more and be better, a better artist, and just share your talents with people, because that's what you're given your gift for, not to keep it to yourself, and that's what I love to do. Mixed magic has actually elevated me to levels that I didn't know I had. So they pushed me out of my comfort zone, and it just makes me want to do more and believe in myself even more. Probably do something of my own. I need to really sit down and start writing and putting some music together and getting myself out there. So that's what I'm going to be looking forward to.
The woman that had the greatest impact in my life is a woman named Elaine Novana Parker Lewis, my late mother. She was an amazing woman, a survivor, an innovator, generous, loving, and kind. She never gave up, and she always did something amazing. She was one of the first women in the United States to climb telephone poles for NYNEX. And so if she could do it, she let her daughters know that they could do it too. And her impact in our lives has never been greater. Since she's gone on to glory, we try to carry on that legacy of being generous, kind, and innovative to everybody that we meet.
It's only now I see. All right.